I am distracted all the time. This morning, my husband said to me, first thing, the Eagles won last night. And I said, oh man, that reminds me that at one point last night, I went to go check the score and I never did. I don't know, but I never got there. But I remember going to look for it. But as soon as I get on my phone, I'm distracted.
Today's episode is brought to you by my good friend Andy Bovender, the founder of the Bovender team out of the Carolinas. Him and his team cover 5 major cities and have serviced over 5,000 clients. So if you have somebody who's been thinking about making a move to or from that area, they are the referral partners to call. Today's episode is a unique one. I sit down with Tim Angel, who's in his 3rd year of production, looking to catapult to the next level. And so as my guest, Susie Adamson sits down with me and we coach him as to how to get to that next level in his business. It's really fun recording and it's really unique. So I would love your feedback in the comments of what you thought of it. And as always, I'm your referral partner out of San Francisco, Shawn Kunkler. My 2 amazing guests today is Susie Adamson. I think this is your 3rd time back, if I remember. If you haven't heard her episodes, she's an all-star coach. So definitely go back and listen to those. But today we have Tim Angel, and we're going to be sitting down and doing a live coaching session with them. So buckle up. It's going to be a good one. Tim, thanks for doing this. I know it's uncomfortable. We're going to dig into parts of your business, and you're probably going to hear stuff that it's eye-opening, but it's all for the greater good. So I truly honor you for showing up for this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's dive in. We will kind of backfill people with what you are doing for production and all of that. But I just literally want to dive in and people will get up to speed as we go. And so let's jump in from the point of what is the biggest pain point you are currently having in your business?
Well, I would say that I'm growing a lot right now, which is great. I'm not complaining about it. I feel like over the last year at Compass, I joined Compass in June 2018 and June 2024. Yeah. So it's been about a year now. Sorry.
I don't know months and days either. So you're fine, man.
I also counted the month. I'm almost like around 18 months now. We're getting close to 18 months. That's why I said 18. But I joined and my business was so slow before. And I feel like ever since I joined, I didn't really start catching the culture and community until I went to retreat. And I feel like that changed my life in June. And
really?
that was around my 1 year. I joined in June last year. So, okay. I mean, that kind of changed everything at retreat. And your event was one of the first ones I went to. Monday, the day I showed up, your event was that night, right?
That's right. Yeah, I showed up late to my own event. It was amazing.
Okay, I showed up late too, but I met some really big rock stars, Wes Collins, I think, and Andy
He's awesome.
Bovender and Mara Ingram. I met all of them at that event, and those relationships, Trisha Cook, those relationships have kind of changed my life and heightened my real estate outlook. So
that's incredible. All of those, every person you mentioned is an absolute heavy hitter. And so
pain points in the last in the last 18 months since I joined Compass, I'm almost to about 15 to 16 million in there. And it's just, everything's been kind of go. I feel I don't have an assistant, but I've listened to your podcast with Susie. I've listened to actually both episodes. One episode I listened to the full thing. And she said in there that I needed an assistant at 10 million, and I'll be there in about this month for this year. And then Fantastic. I do have a transaction coordinator. I think that there are some aspects of that maybe I'm still not leaning into as much, but I'm at a point where I'm considering VA or some kind of assistant here very soon.
Yeah.
So
Susie, jump in.
That's one of my big
Can you tell me what your production was last year?
it was 8 million. In
Total.
in 2024, it was 8 million, 8.3. And today, like I'm at 9 million right now.
And when you say that the retreat and that particular like set of people that you met really changed your trajectory, changed your life, can you tell us what variables you think contributed most to what you perceive as the change?
Yeah, I just raising the bar.
Mm,
In my Compass office, we have
Mm.
probably like three or four agents that I really look up to that are role models. And I feel like agents at the retreat, every single one of them is kind of that kind of role model. And like everybody that goes retreat has that kind of that input on the office at their Compass office. And I feel like it was just incredible. I don't know if you've ever heard of Susanna Bartolome. She's incredible here in Fort Worth, and
mhm,
she's like the number one agent on Real Trends in Fort
Mm.
Worth. And she
Amazing.
is unbelievably incredible. And she's just been such a rock star, like inspiration to my business and just understanding like you can have a high production business with just an assistant and not a
Mhm.
team. And she has two kids. I also have two kids. And I just, I look at her as like a big, she's a big role model to where I want to go with my business.
Yeah.
mhm.
And so, I mean, I, I feel like everybody at retreat I got the sense that everybody at retreat, unless they were new to a team or just joined Compass a little while, most people that I met at retreat had some kind of buzzing business. Um,
Mhm.
I found myself even looking at a few and being like, "No, there's no way they're not. They're awesome agents. Like I match up with them or something." And then I see them at their like luxury $3 million listing on Instagram that next week. Like that weekend, like you just start seeing like, okay, these people perform. Everybody that's coming here, they're not joking around. They do perform, and I want that. So I followed so many people on Instagram. I feel like I made relationships, and then I sent 60 note cards to people right when I got home. Um, I felt like you were on there, but I don't know if I sent you one. But you were on my list. I definitely followed you on Instagram, so we're friends there. But yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible like 4 months since retreat. There
Yeah.
are probably six or seven people I still reach out to almost once a month, like that I'm still talking to. I feel like you see all those people around, and it makes you think what's out there next. And if those people are having, I heard Shawn say, somebody, I don't know if it was Shawn, but somebody said somebody's having their best month this month. And like I feel like I can always see myself climbing and trying to have my best month every month right now. And
That's
I see
great.
Compass agents as really inspirational in that aspect. It seems like um the just just the level of um intentionality that comes with the Compass agent, I've seen it in a really positive light.
Love
That's
that.
incredible.
Can you tell us what your day looks like?
Hey, friends, I have a small favor to ask. For me to continue to bring you outstanding guests who share their best kept secrets for growing a successful real estate business, please take a moment and hit that like button so agents like you can find this content. And also hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Now, back to our show.
Yeah. So today, I mean, I can tell you what today looked like. And I feel like
Yeah.
every day, today was a closing in the morning. And then actually,
Congrats.
it ended up being close to a luxury listing that I got. And they just got their first offer this morning. And I ended up just ciphering through the offer before the closing. So I went over and had a conversation with them instead of calling them on the phone. I just went to their house and talked with
Mm.
them. We made kind of a strategy for this weekend, and we're expecting possibly another offer. Possibly. We'll see what happens. But like, it was just so nice to get to like go sit at their table and kind of go over my thoughts and going forward with this. And then
Hmm.
I came home, I ate lunch, and I brainstormed for a few hours. I networked with, I actually called Trisha Cook and talked with her for a bit. And uh, let's see, I checked in with a few clients, and then I'm here. I feel like I'm at the office. I'm here in the Fort Worth office in Compass. So that was my day today. It seems like every day it will be kind of around appointments. I try to have, I have a level of graded calls, and I have that same clientele. I have a level of notes that I need to get out.
Mhm.
And so I have an event I have an event coming up in October, and most of my contacts right now are based onto who's going to that event. I'm making sure they're on a text message string to be invited. I'm making sure I get notes out to that same group of people saying hello, touching them for the month, and then making sure they understand when that event is and if they're able to come. My goal as a realtor right now is I want to I want to be the person that you come to asking for help. I never want to be coming to you asking you if you want to buy or sell. I want to build
Mhm.
relationships with you, and then I want you to be coming to me asking for help. So,
Mhm.
does that make sense what I just said?
Absolutely.
On your list of the things that you did, what were the balls that dropped specifically?
Um I I feel like efficiency is probably, I mean, it might be even a strength, but efficiency is something that, am I doing everything in the right timing? Am I getting to the next thing? Or is my ADHD or whatever I have like going to the next thing? It's one of the most enjoyable things about the career, but am I being the most efficient? Am I checking my Instagram too much for views? Like, am I making sure that I'm following those strategic things? My mind is always racing towards what's the next reel I'm going to create. I'm
Hmm.
always thinking outside the box on those things, and it's like exhausting. I've actually surprisingly hired somebody to help me think outside of the box on reels.
Mm.
And I want everything to involve the violin. I'm I'm a professional violinist before real estate. That's what I was doing. And so I have this goal to have the violin be part of my personality, and that's kind of who I want to grow. I can't I can't stand opening doors and doing house tours. I did it for a few years and for reels, and now I'm like, there has to be something different, and I like to make people laugh. So
Mhm.
that's actually an essential part of my business, is like being a personality that people remember and see. And it was actually really kind of unbelievable with your comment popping up on one of my videos last week, Susie. I was like, whoa, Susie just said she liked my video.
I like all of your videos.
I know, but you wrote a message on it, and I was just like, wow. And so, I mean,
Which
that was,
honestly is a very intentional part of my social media strategy.
I love it.
Is early on, I went to some class and the guy was like, don't just hit like, write a comment,
Yeah.
right? If it's somebody's birthday, don't, I mean, like the literal least you can do is hit a like. But the next thing you should do is, he said, it's like somebody's walking into a room and they have a big sign that says it's my birthday, and you just like, versus,
Yeah.
happy
Yeah.
birthday. Say
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
And
In-
I'll find myself trying to go to the text message and getting the happy birthday to them too, if
Yes.
I see it
yeah.
on there.
Yes. Same. Same.
You can level it up, do a video for birthdays, make them a
Yes.
video. It completely change. It makes you 10 times more memorable.
Awesome.
Um,
Yep.
so it sounds like being in the creative side of the business, you enjoy deeply, like making the videos, marketing the property, being in front of camera, thinking
Absolutely.
outside of the box.
What I
Yeah.
think is so important about the fact that you are a trained violinist, I this is one of the first things I talk to my coaching clients about, is their mission statement. And part of their mission statement is sort of baked into that is their brand understanding, right? And for you, like you said, you want to be a personality online and you want to make sure that people gravitate toward you. You're looking for the people that are looking for you, right? You're not necessarily out there like shilling. But what I love about the idea that you're presenting yourself as a trained violinist is that's a shortcut to people to what they can expect of you as an agent.
Sure.
Because being a classically trained musician requires a great deal of discipline,
Mhm.
right? You put in the work because you cannot get to the level that you are, and you're excellent. And I've seen you in person performing at karaoke, but still, it was still great. Um, I think that just tells people that you have a certain level of stamina, right? Like you understand precision. You
Mhm.
are someone who can be trusted to do things that maybe aren't fun to do, because that's a lot of what it takes to master a skill of any kind. So I love that you're using that as part of your social media brand,
Mhm.
because it is not just amusing and entertaining, but it is a shortcut to a lot of your characteristics,
Yeah.
that you want people to know about you as a realtor.
I completely agree. And I've done the same thing with Kung Fu.
Mm-hmm.
Is when I tell people I'm a black belt or I ran a school, immediately they go to, you must have discipline.
Right.
Or I say, oh, I used to run 16 classes a week. My favorite were teaching kids. And so, and you get that too when people say, oh, wow, they will then connect the dots between what you previously did and how you then become
That's
of
right.
service. And then it's always too the violin and showing the property, or like you just recently did this song Blue for a blue house playing the violin. It was very visually captivating. And then when you tell the story, people remember the story. That's all they're gonna remember, the feeling of the story, and that's it. And so if you can connect it as you are and continue to do that, I think that's amazing. The problem you have is getting the rest of that crap off of your plate. Have you been completely neglecting your newsletter, social media, or any of your outbound marketing? If so, I have a solution for you. With little to no commitment, a virtual assistant can jump in and help you in those areas you just don't have the time for. For more information about hiring a virtual assistant, go ahead and follow the link in the description below.
Well,
Is
so I want to actually use your background, Tim, as a way to coach you, which is, if you think about how you became as good as you are as a violinist, you had to start with the basics. And when you
100%.
hire people, whether it's an assistant or another agent for your team, and on and on and on, you would never start them and say, play, like, figure it out, right? You started with scales. You started with finger position. You started with
Mm,
whatever it was. I'm not a violinist, but I played piano at one point. So same
no.
principles, right? You had a
Yep.
book. You had an instructor.
yeah,
So I just want you to think about that as it applies to your real estate
yeah,
and the things that you need to do now in order to grow your team. All right, where's my like beginner book, right? Start getting the stuff in your head out of your head. Number one,
yeah.
because most agents operate completely off of memory and instinct. And you probably don't have an operations manual. Many agents don't have an operations manual. They don't have their standard operating, practices written down. And just, you don't need to even worry about the format. Just brain dump to start. Get everything out of your head that you do, right? So when you say, like, why I asked, what do you do during the course of your average day or today even? Most agents I talk to say their feet hit the ground and they just react, right? They look at their calendar. Sometimes they look at their phone, they look at social media, they go down a rabbit hole, they look at their email, they go down a rabbit hole, they talk to a client, they go down a rabbit hole. It's a lot of rabbit holes. It's a lot of detours. It's a lot of reacting. So my general advice to you in the day applies also more broadly to your business, which is you need a pattern of steps
Mhm.
for what's next. The question of what's next is what you ask yourself all day long. And it's also what you should be asking yourself all lifelong, right? Micro, what's next? And then macro, what's next,
Yeah.
right? So every day, your what's next should be in this order: calendar, task list, texts, emails, social media. That's the ladder of what's next. When I say what's next to myself, okay, what's next? Because you do that all day long. Okay, what's next? Check your calendar to see when your next appointment is.
Yeah.
Check your task list to see, and one task list, I'm sure you've heard me say this on podcast episodes and in the mastermind class, one list, not a bunch of notes everywhere. You can't prioritize if everything's scattered. One list. You go on that list and you go, okay, I have an hour. What's next that I can fit in an hour? Or what's next I can fit in 15 minutes? Or whatever the case may be. Then you check your text messages. Then you check your emails. And then you go to the fun stuff, the social media, unless, of course, that's part of your task. But then bigger picture, as you're thinking about what's next for my team, what's next for my hiring, first thing is to get what's in your head out of your head, to create what you had to have when you first learned how to play the violin. What are the basics that I'm going to have to teach my assistant or my next team member? Right? And in what order does it make sense? So you're going to have to sort of like replay how it made sense for you, but better yet, hire a coach or somebody else who's already gone ahead of you. And like, why reinvent the wheel, right? Like when we buy a new appliance, what do? You go to your reviews, right? You go check out the ratings.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new under the sun in real estate, right, Shawn? Nothing new.
Nothing.
Someone has gone before you and done it. Andy Bovender, you talked about West Collins. They have excellent systems. That's why they're as big as they are, because they nailed down, and they have had a lot of trial and error, I'm sure, as I have, as Shawn has. Take advantage of that. Continue, obviously, on masterminds. But the first thing to do after you get off this call and every day is just have one open Google Doc and start brain dumping all the things that you do during the course of your day. Yeah. And then the themes will start to appear, and the like sort of pathway to training your hire will appear. Secondly, I want you to have another list of what you do during the day that only you can do. Because everything else then is something someone else can do. And I want you to be really ruthless in applying that question. What is it only I can do? Because what most agents do wrong as they grow is they continue to do the things that someone else can do, whether it's an $8 an hour job or a $50 an hour job. You are a $100 to $200 or more an hour employee, right? So you should not be doing anything. It's not about what's beneath you. Yeah. It's about what is the best ROI for your time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I want to jump in on that. That point, Susie, that you just made, that radically changed my business and how I thought about it. When I would sit down to look at a newsletter, and before I started, I'd be like, it's probably going to take me 30 minutes. And then I'd be like, would I, as an owner of a business, pay a top level executive employee $150 to do this thing right now? Probably not. And it's like, well, what is that thing actually worth, and who can do it? And then you do the math and you're like, well, I could probably get it done for $30, $20. I need to slow down, basically invest my time to get and find that right person, train them, and then have them execute on it. And then moving forward, I don't have to put any time into it. That's and right. Then I save tons of money. And I think when you start, similarly, I have teenage boys, or early 20s now. But when I told them and taught them, if you look at your hourly wage and then you compare it to the thing you're about to buy, do you want to invest that much time into that thing? And it really slows you down of like, again, I'm making whatever at that age, $25 an hour, and I want to buy a new PlayStation or whatever, and a few $100. It's like, do I want to waste all these days of work to buy that thing? And then it's a different decision-making process. So I think if you slow down, and that's a big mistake entrepreneurs make, is they just don't slow down. And then with the list, the other thing that really then helped me is, to Susie's point, the list of things that only you can do. Additionally, put a dollar sign next to income producing tasks. Those you should exclusively be doing, and not only be doing, really focusing on. And more times than not, you'll find that things that's an income producing task you're putting off because you're doing non-income producing tasks that somebody else can actually be doing. And so then you're, again, if you're thinking in terms of dollars and cents, you then can reallocate your time and invest your time, which is the most valuable time, into those things, and then use the proceeds from that, the revenue from that, to go hire the person to actually go to the mailbox and mail out those note cards, or put the stamps on them, or address the labels, or go order new stuff when you run low. And you start really looking at your time as incredibly valuable. You'll have a paradigm shift when you do. And I would take the time to really figure out, I know you're growing your business at an incredibly rapid rate. Figure out your dollar per, or your cost per hour. Like, what are you actually worth? And then when you start looking at the projects and investing that money into it, you'll recalibrate yourself really quick.
Absolutely. And I would say do that with your personal tasks too, because there's a lot in your personal life that you can delegate and pay someone to do for less than it costs you to do it. Right. So Shawn's question was so perfect in that, would I pay someone $100 to $200 an hour to grocery shop for me? No. So then that makes it seem like that extra $20 of delivery fee is really a steal, right? Because you're spending 2 hours doing something, or maybe, taking your car to get serviced, or making appointments. I mean, the amount of time that we spend on the phone making appointments. And here's the other piece of it, is that it is never the amount of time that it takes you to do that one task. That's the other thing that I coach to all the time. It's the distraction variable. Every time you go to do a 5-minute task, you can assume it's going to take you half an hour of going down rabbit holes and getting distracted until you are somewhere that you didn't even expect to be. Like last night. So I don't have ADHD. I have 2 family members who do. So I understand what it looks like and why I am more neurotypical. Having said that, I am distracted all the time. This morning, my husband said to me, first thing, the Eagles won last night. And I said, oh man, that reminds me that at one point last night, I went to go check the score and I never did. I don't know what I did instead, but I never got there. But I remember going to look for it. But as soon as I get on my phone, I'm distracted, immediately, right? As soon as you go to your email, as soon as you pick up to go to make a phone call, as soon as you go to post something on Instagram, you are distracted. So you just assume that when you go to do a task, unless you have an ironclad system by which you are running your day, you will lose hours of productivity just because you're distracted, right? Whereas all day long, in my busiest times and in my least busy times, which are both opportunities for distraction, right? Even when you have nothing to do, you're distracted all day long because you don't have enough routine. And when you're super busy, you're like, I'm so busy, I don't know what I'm doing. In all the full spectrum of those situations, I know exactly what I'm doing because I go to my calendar, I see what's next, I go to my task list. I I tether myself to that task list, because otherwise I would not know what to do next. And I would waste so much time, either with too much time or too little time. I would waste time, right? So that's why this sort of, you have to have the right roadmap at all times. And it's not rocket science. It just isn't. It is as simple as put everything on your calendar that's time specific, and then only use one place to put your reminders.
Yeah.
And as you've heard me say, for Compass agents, it should be the Compass task list.
Okay.
Yeah, and for me, so I'm pushing back on you, Susie. It's just because I have trouble not writing things down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the type of person I have to literally write it down. I have to, there has to be the kinesthetic experience. And I've tried my whole life to try to put my to-do lists online. I have so much trouble doing that, but I can live and die by my notebook. And as long as I have it, like I'm good. The other thing too, in having the not being neurotypical and having the challenge of distraction constantly for those bigger projects, if I just have an agreement with myself that I have something enjoyable immediately after, like I can run downstairs and go get a coffee, or I can goof off on Instagram for a minute, or so I have two different chairs in my office. I have a stool that I balance on and then a regular comfortable chair. I will literally be like, oh, I want to switch chairs. You know what? Let me get through this project and then I can change chairs. So I have to gamify any project that's slightly uncomfortable. And it's usually looking at my P&Ls or sitting down with my accountant or talking to my bookkeeper. It's those projects or like entering data into the MLS or double check. It's like stuff that I need to do because it's my obligation as the owner. But I need to then hinge something. I need to hinge some sort of reward immediately after, so then I can actually get through it. Otherwise, to Susie's point, I will flip and look for every excuse to not do that thing. And I will open it, I'll close it, I'll open it again, I'll check a couple emails. I'll just get through this one quick email before I do it. And so I think you have to recognize who you are and your work habits, and then try to figure out how to get through that stuff.
Definitely. On that note, Tim, I would ask what part of hiring an assistant makes you most nervous?
Great question.
So I've actually thought about it over the last like few weeks, and it's really focused on my pain points in hiring one is like, how do I know they're doing everything? How do I know what they're doing? And then how can I check their work? Like making sure, do they know how to like keep going? Shawn gave me some tips yesterday about like checking in every morning and having a discussion, like here's what my day looks like. I also told Shawn I feel like an assistant will maybe also be an accountability person for me and be like, are you staying on task? Like an assistant would be asking me those questions and I have to answer them. And so I feel like the nervous part is, how do I know it's going to be worth it? And am I really going to feel that? Am I really going to feel like the work that they're doing is really giving me the time to get to these tasks that I feel like I'm missing?
Yep. So I think I shared this on a previous episode, but an assistant will help you with two areas: things that you shouldn't be doing that you are doing, right? Things that you can delegate that you are doing. And they will also help you with things that you're not getting to because you're not, right?
Yeah, I will say I think it's more things I'm not getting to. Every person in my CRM, I don't know when their birthdays are. And I've been thinking like, I really need to manage that. My email is zero categorized. It just keeps, there's thousands more emails every month, it seems like. And then my, like every task that I have, I'm barely just keeping up with my clients. Everything else is like falling by the wayside. But I'm keeping up with my clients. That's what I pat myself on the back with. And then what am I missing out on because I don't have an assistant? That's where I'm starting to get to now.
Yeah. And you're going to hit that point where you're keeping up with your clients until you're not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it happens like it'll just snowball one day. You'll be like, holy shit! It's just boom, 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 boom. When you start missing stuff.
Because
Um,
how long have you been a realtor, Tim?
3.5 years.
3.5 years, right? So to Sean's point, as your client list grows, which it will,
yeah,
so you're doing, a good
Has.
job,
Yep.
then it just, you will run out of time if you're trying to just keep track of them
yeah,
yourself. Also, um, if your CRM is not clean and if it is not giving you the information that you need to tell you who to be in touch with on a regular basis, on a quarterly basis at least, then you will inevitably lose track of people until that
yeah.
one day, that dreaded day where you see a different sign in one of your past clients or your sphere's yard. That
It's
is
like
the wake up call for everybody, right?
that is the gut check,
Yes.
and
So to what you were saying,
it's usually that third year. That's when you need to
Oh my
start
gosh.
staying
Yeah.
in touch with people.
yeah.
Sure.
Well, and you're experiencing that. You're at that 10 million mark, your, point of growth where you will stop sort of being able to stay on top of everything just by memory.
Mhm.
Um, to your point though, on that list of things that only you can do, you should start writing down all the things you're not getting to, right? All the things that you just started talking about. And as you
Yeah.
go through the day, just make sure you write it down because those are the talking points when you start training your new admin. You say, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I would love for you to do. And let's prioritize this, just like let's practice this major scale, then let's practice this minor scale, whatever it is. I'm not well versed enough in music to
Sure.
say, but like whatever the basics are, right? Here's where we're going to start. Here's
Yeah.
what you're going to do next. And then you know that there are like ways to evaluate the success of whether or not you're playing an instrument properly. And that is ultimately, I want you to really like lean into that experience of yours, Tim, and draw the parallels between how you got to be where you are as a musician and where you want to be as a realtor. There are
Yeah.
going to be way more parallels than you probably have thought of so far.
I
Yeah.
mean, just in this conversation, my day used to look like get to the practice room as soon as you can,
Mhm.
and like even in college, I was practicing from like 7 to 11, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe 2 to 3, and then 6 to 7 if I could, or maybe I could slip in an hour from 9 to 10. It's
Mm-hmm.
I was that crazy, like,
Yeah.
and every hour had to manage like 15 minutes to 20. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been really interesting watching you say, how's every hour managed? Because I did that when I played the violin. Like,
Yes.
I did that when I was like, every hour was managed. And I was always looking for a way to get into that. So, I mean, I told Shawn if I can practice like this, I can do real estate. But,
That's right.
100%.
like, I haven't been managing my hours like that. I kind of just focus on something and let time just go.
Yeah.
And it's not too late to go back to that
I love
to
it.
that
Yeah.
practice, right? Reignite those muscles that they're still there. They're just a little atrophied because you haven't
Yeah.
applied them to real estate. But Sean and I talk often about how athletes, professional or amateur athlete, anyone who's done any sort of athletic endeavor, not me, um, has become, most of them, if they apply that same discipline, if they apply that same sort of mindset to real estate, are extremely successful. And I would say the same for musicians, for other creative types. So
Mhm, mhm,
my
mhm.
former business partner is a trained musician. And she's a trained opera singer and a trained pastry chef. And I used to say all the time, like, that's part of why she is such a great realtor as well. Anything that has in your past life required a great deal of regimen and discipline and attention to detail,
Yeah.
it is not a like, that's what I did before and now this is what I'm doing. Sales is completely different. It is not at all. Those are absolutely transferable skills and habits that you need to now bring back into your current life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to kind of go back to your concern about hiring somebody and if they're doing the job and if they're doing it correctly, it's not dissimilar again from teaching somebody violin. If you were to sit down with me and I never picked up a violin, you're gonna start me from the beginning. And would it be
Yeah.
unreasonable of you to expect me to not make a mistake? Like,
It would be very unreasonable of me to expect you not to make. Yeah. Yes,
correct.
I would
And
agree.
if I make a mistake, am I gonna learn from the mistake?
Hopefully a little
Right.
bit.
And so when you hire somebody, you have to step back, let them try things, let them make mistakes, but in life, if you do dangerous things in a safe way, you learn exponentially. It's like riding a bike inherently is dangerous. But if you put on a helmet and pads as you're learning to ride, you're doing a dangerous thing safe. And so let's say they're building your newsletter. It's only dangerous if they hit send. They can build it and make all the mistakes they want, review it with you, and go over the tone and voice. And you can say, no, it's actually you missed the mark. The important part here is the violin, and I really need you to introduce these colors. These are my themes. And it's they're doing a risky thing, but they're not hitting send, so there's no danger
Mhm.
to it. And so they could flub it up all they want. Like everything can be wrong about it. And you would just sit down with them, tell them what you like. So they know to do more of that, and then tell them the things to adjust and then to come back. And, that's that back and forth. It's going to take a few sessions, a few iterations, but just like playing the violin, they're going to get better and better. They're going to get more in tune. Their ears going to get they're going to know when it's off. They're going to just know. Just like
Mhm.
you hear the string for a fraction of a second, you're like, that's off. I need to tune this.
Yeah.
They'll be the same way, but you need to get them from the beginning. And then again, like if they're building a newsletter, and that's just an easy example because that's going to go out either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, whatever your cadence is going to be. And they're going to be communicating back with you. And so you're going to give them a part of it. They're going to come back to you. And they're not going to hit send. So they can make all the mistakes they want, but you're setting them up for success. So they get the confidence in doing that thing and understanding your brand. And then once let's say, for example, they get that piece done, great. You don't have to waste your time on it. The only thing you need to do is the 5-minute review before it gets scheduled to just make sure high level, does it sound like me? Does it sound like our brand? And and then you go to the next
Yeah.
piece. And so just like playing the violin, you don't play the whole song at once. You play each one string at a time. And in it's the same thing. And you would give them then the next task, and then they would work on it and build it with you. The other thing is it's kind of like watching a master chef build the perfect cake. Is they may not know what they're doing, but if you watch them and take notes, you'll figure it out. And more importantly, you'll figure out the sequence. And when you find that right person, they'll watch you and they'll sit down with you and be like, hey, let me watch you do this thing, process this thing. And they will be creating the list. Oh, it looks like you did this first. Why did you do that? And then you can get them up to speed. And
Mhm.
so when you find that right hire, they're they're going to be pushing and pulling you as equally as you are to them. Meaning,
Sure.
if they're on point, you're going to be on point, and you guys are going to grow way faster together. And I assure you, if you find that right hire at the pace you currently are, your business is going to flatten out for a moment because you're going to have to invest time in them. But I assure you, it's going to pop immediately after.
Okay.
And speaking of finding the right hire, I think this whole like music analogy is working well. Like if you are looking for, let's say you are starting a band, right? You would be thinking about, okay, I want somebody who is a great keyboardist. I mean, now I need to find somebody who's great on drums. So I want you to think about what it is that you actually are looking for, right? Not every assistant or admin on a team does the same thing. There are a core set of things that you want them to do, but there are going to be different things based on your particular needs and your particular preferences. So And also, I think, do you feel like everybody can be a great violinist?
Mm, I mean, not really.
No, right?
Yeah.
There's
I would be the worst
some,
violinist in the
yeah,
world.
there's
I'm
some
just going to say
component
that.
of natural skill and gifting,
Sure.
right? There's some component of gifting, and then there's some component of discipline and like ability to learn and ability to be trained.
And desire.
And that's the same for a team member, right?
Absolutely.
There are going to be people who have, and you need to think about, what do you want them to come into the equation with, and what are you going to do to help them cultivate the things that help them to grow, right? And then at every point of measurement, are they exemplifying what it is that you're looking for? And I've talked about this on a previous episode. It is not a measure of, it is not about you evaluating who they are as a person. You're not assigning some like judgment on them as like a worker in general. What you're just assessing is, are they the right fit for you? Are they the right fit for what you need? And how much time you have to give to cultivate the various things. So, if you are not going to spend a whole lot of time managing them, you need someone who's going to be better working on their own and not requiring management. But if you are really someone who wants to make sure that every detail is done exactly to your standards and to your specifications, you need someone who's going to be just a really good doer that takes good direction. Do you know?
Yeah.
So you need to give a
Absolutely.
little thought to like, what type of person is going to make a great hire for you? And then what are you willing to do to invest to make them the best possible admin on your team?
Yeah. And I additionally, I just from the fear that you've had and the kind of the pause of where you're at is you should within a 3-month period be more productive. They should have taken pressure away from you to
Mm-hmm.
enable you to do. It's similar to hiring a babysitter. If you're babysitting the babysitter after 3 months, you hired the wrong babysitter. Like the
Right.
babysitter should have given you time back. That's the
And
point.
you should know that in a month, in my opinion.
Correct. And so I think the other thing to free you up is you're not married to them. It's
Mm-hmm.
you're dating them. And so if it's not like after the first few sit downs and projects, if it's not working, fire fast. Hire slow, fire fast. Like just it's not working. I think you're a great person. For what I'm looking for, it's X, Y, and Z. I have to let you go and just go find that next person.
I would really echo that. I said that to a coaching client today. In light of all the things that we've told you to like prepare and like think about this and do this and make sure you've got this set and, set up your systems and all that, at the end of the day, you learn a lot just by doing it, as with
Yes.
everything. And it is not forever.
Yeah.
Nothing is forever. The investment that you make in an admin, while you don't want to be capricious about people's lives, the amount of money and time you spend in 1 month is not so much that it should pause, sort of
Yeah.
set you in your tracks and make you afraid to take that first step.
Yeah.
Even when you're never going to be ready. It's like parenting, right? You're never ready. You just do it and stumble through it and do a lot of trial and error.
You're never ready. All the advice is contradictory. You're going to be nervous
And
as
you're going to
hell.
make a lot of mistakes.
But that's the game. That's part of that's life, right there. But yeah, it feels like you're on the precipice of something really great. Like you've obviously built a really strong and stable business, and at that 3-year mark, not to belabor the point, but you really now need to focus on maintaining the relationship marketing aspects of the people you've already serviced, because that is going to be your bread and butter of referrals in the next few years. And I'm in more of an urban, and San Francisco is an urban environment. So we tend to see people start to think about moving usually in the 3 to 5 year mark. But if you pace out a couple of years, some of those people who bought the starter homes, they're going to be then wanting to level up. And
Yeah.
the statistics across the board it's something crazy like 87% of buyers say they'll use the same agent again to sell their home, but only like 9% actually do. And it's because the agents stopped communicating with them. They
Hmm.
stopped maintaining their relationship. And so
Hmm.
while it's really the marketing component of that admin that's going to help you with that in the next phase that you're about to trend into.
Staying in front
um
of them. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and I'll sync up with you offline, but I have a relationship marketing calendar. I'm happy to give it to you.
I love
It's
it.
literally a plug and play calendar, and you're with Compass. So if you go to Compass Academy, there's a 4-part training session on Compass Academy
Okay.
that has all how to do the relationship marketing. I would 100% have your admin be working on components of that once you hire them.
Okay.
And then if you have questions about it, just call me. I'm happy to
Yeah, I'm gonna
get you
like
up to speed.
listen to this episode and take notes on it. I was thinking like, where are my notes here? I'm just gonna have to listen to this like 5 times.
I'll send you after this. I'll send you the raw link,
Awesome.
so you can just have it, and then when it comes out, you'll obviously have it online as well.
And to just relate back to like ensemble wise, I have a pianist that I always love to work with, and I got to know her really well. She always follows me. She always does everything that I had to do. Like if I give her a piece, I can tell that like I'm gonna be okay, and I don't really have to think a ton.
Mhm.
So actually, that analogy for like relating back to it, like I felt snobby as a violinist. I only want to work with Kate, but you're like, I mean, an assistant needs to kind of fill that void as well.
100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have said point blank to people that I work with, if I throw you a ball and you don't catch it, you're not any good to me. The whole point of an assistant or an admin
I
or a
love
team
you,
member
Susie. It's
is,
so
I
raw.
mean,
It's so
well,
true.
like, I got to be real, right? Like, you got to set expectations. If you're not taking stress away from me,
Yeah.
then what's the point? It's just not a good fit. So if
But
you can tell, right, like that, I talk to clients all the time who are like, oh, I'm so stressed because this person's like, they're making mistakes or they're not following up or they're not letting me know when they're sick or whatever. And I'm like, then you need to have a conversation. You need to give them a chance to make corrections. And then if they're not making the adjustments, then they're not the right fit.
Yeah.
Move on quickly.
Yeah.
Because to your point, like if you were working with a pianist that wasn't hearing you, wasn't taking direction from you, wasn't following your lead, wasn't a good like back and forth with you, if you were not making good music together, you would not be the right people for each other,
there
Yeah.
would be
right?
another pianist on the next recital.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
Exactly.
So I'm so excited to hear how you take this, like your experience, not your past, but your current experience as a musician, and trying to like think about how to apply that to
Yeah.
your real estate business
Mm.
and how that's going to take you to the next level. Because
I,
the
Yeah.
fact that you even ask for help is just, I think, the mark of someone who is going to grow exponentially.
I appreciate that. I am a
Yeah.
learner, like, and I just don't think if you're not willing to learn, how can you grow?
That's right.
It's so interesting that from being in this seat and having the opportunity to sit down with so many amazing agents, I find that people like you who you're a professional violinist, when you put in the time to practice, it frames things in a very different way. So the day of the performance, it wasn't like a game. It wasn't a win or a loss. And if it was a loss, like if you made a mistake during a performance, it was like, I made a mistake. It's not that you're a loser. You just didn't nail it. And so when you go back to practice, you're like, I'm going to bust my butt and never make that same mistake again. And so it really goes back to the discipline in the training. And I echo so much of what Susie has shared is just really think about all of this, the business, in the same way as your whole violin experience of if you're training somebody from zero, like you have to give them patience to they're not going to figure it out. They're not going to be able to read sheet music for a while. Like
Absolutely.
They're going to fumble. Like literally, you have to, this is how you hold it.
Right? Drills. You got to give them drills. You
Drills,
have to give them
simple.
clear direction and instruction, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I
And
taught,
it's,
yeah, I taught little kids, like 40 students a week from 3-year-old to high school. Like I started from zero and got them to something. Yeah, I did that for like 5 years.
Yeah. Tap
and
into that muscle.
yes, and have that same mindset, the same grace. But again, you don't take somebody who's a week into playing and put them on stage and like that's again, you put them in a very dangerous environment. You put them in a safe space and they
That's right.
practice and then they get a little good and then you're like, well, let's have this one person play in front of the class. And it's like again, you're creating a safe environment for them to push themselves to the next level. And it's the same when you hire somebody.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's really hard for me because I'm a perfectionist and I want to move incredibly fast, and I have to literally force myself to give a compliment or to be like, "Hey, this actually looks really good," because I'm so like that's what you're supposed to do. Why aren't you doing that? And so you have to. It's a lot of training, but the growth that comes from it is pretty special, and so I'm beyond stoked for your next growth spurt that you're
Yes.
clearly on the precipice of.
Me too. I'm this given me so much thought, and the music aspect, it seems so dorky to me to like compare stuff, and yet I'm here thinking like management. I'm able to manage my practice hour. Why can't I can manage my real estate hour.
Yeah.
Even if I'm making 40 calls a day, I can
And
do
you
that.
protect that
Absolutely.
hour. Like,
Yeah,
and once, as you know, with music, once you're on a streak, you actually feel weird if you miss. Like once the
100%.
streak happens, and it's the same with the business. It's like once you get a newsletter out consistently every whatever site every month, you'll feel really weird if it's even late. You're like, oh, that doesn't feel right. We have to get on top of it.
100%. Yeah.
I
The
feel that way
newsletters,
about sending birthday note cards. It took me 10 years to start handwriting notes because it wasn't my habit and my muscle was weak in that area. But now that I do it, it does feel weird when I miss somebody's birthday. And I'm like, oh no, I did send that note.
here's a really simple pro tip. Whenever you're working with the buyer or seller and you're filling out the contract, I have a template email that I send anytime I'm doing it,
Okay.
and I always say, hey, I need your full name and your birth dates.
Mhm.
And so when I'm filling out a contract is when I get their birth dates, and then the birth dates go into the CRM. So I always have
Yes.
Love it.
that's when I grab their birth dates. But that system, it's put into a specific spot where I know it's always going to get caught. And then that's
Yes.
when it's funny and it's very contradictory, but when you have some sort of attention deficit, as I do, checklists make me cringe. But the beauty is, if you can follow the checklist, it actually gives you the freedom to jump around, which satisfies that part of my brain. And then the other thing that it does is it allows me to then be creative because I don't
Hmm.
have to worry
That's right.
is where is that thing and was that thing done. I don't have to worry because I know the violin is in the same spot because it's always there. Like I
It
don't
also
have to go
speaks
and look.
to when you are playing music, right? And like you can look at a piece of music and you can riff off of it. You can do improvisation once
Yeah.
you have the foundation, right? So, and Sean, you brought up a good point that I thought of earlier and I forgot. You said you have to write things down, and I find that with many people. They need the tactile activity of writing things down. But this is why an admin, it's important to know that before you hire your admin, because let's say you're not someone who likes to be in a platform. You're not a person who likes checklists. You need to hire someone who does then,
Yeah.
right? Because then they can keep you on track of what your tasks should be.
100%.
Yeah.
They can be checking off the checklist if that's not your strength, right? Versus maybe you're not a creative person and you need a creative person. So like Shawn said, you're going to want your admin to do marketing. I never had my admin do marketing because I want to do my marketing. But what I want to do is farm off enough stuff so that I have the bandwidth and time to do marketing, because that's something I want to control. Right. So if you are great at your Instagram and if you want to keep doing that, then you just need to farm off enough of the stuff that someone else can do so that you can have time and energy to do that. Right. Yeah. There's no perfect formula for everybody, but this is why it's so important to think about what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and then find the people that are going to fill the holes.
Yeah. And that's a really great point, is that I just recently had a conversation with Kelly, who you introduced me to, Susie, and it was all about finding your genius, but staying in it. Like all these different aspects of the job, we don't love them all. That's the reality. Right. But there's pieces that we really do love. And it's how do you then get people around you to take the things that you don't like because they love them, so then you can do the things that you love. The other thing I would recommend when you hire somebody that really I found really helped me is put a deadline for everything on your checklist and have a deadline for everything on their checklist. So then if they say, hey, I'm working on the newsletter, it's not this ambiguous thing that you have no idea when it's going to be arriving. And so they're like, hey, I'm working on the newsletter. I'm going to have it to you tomorrow to review. And so you now, it frees a part of your brain. You're like, okay, I don't have to worry about it. Or I'll have it to you by the end of the week. And then you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. When we meet, they'll bring it up. And so I find from the way that I'm programmed, it helps calm my nerves because I know where things are on the horizon. So I don't have to worry. I can then focus on that. This has a dollar sign. It's an income producing task. That's my duty for today. I have to do that. And so that allows me to just stay in my genius, do that thing that I'm really good at.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, that, my friends, was, we actually went overtime, but this was so good. And I appreciate both of you so much for doing this. I feel like was just such a fun and exciting endeavor.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I'm really going to take all this knowledge and try and put it into practice.
I love it. I'm excited. I get to talk to you pretty frequently, so I'm excited to see where you go in the next couple months with all of this. It's going to be exciting.
I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. It's been great.
I'm going to keep commenting on your social media so I can see what you're doing.
Sounds good. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. And that is a wrap.